1 und jetzt gehen wir rein.
Webcams, they can be very
Hör
expensive,
doch auf!
very cheap, or in some cases, even free. Are you better off just using your
Nein!
phone while saving up for a real camera? Or is one of these going to give you the absolute best bang for your buck? I will help you to choose the best option for your situation and your budget after this sponsor segment. Own.tv.
On.tv. Nein. Wir gehen hier rein. So. Weiter geht's.
When it comes to bang for your buck webcams, the Logitech C920 is a fan favorite. Many people see this as the best middle ground option, and after using it in my $250 streaming setup, I can definitely say that it's a
Hä, wie hat er nur 250 ausgegeben für dieses Setup? Ja, ich weiß nicht.
webcam. You can get it for around $70. It has autofocus and auto exposure, both of which you can see at work in this clip. I also tested the low light
70
performance. It
Euro.
was much better than some other webcams I've tested. The built-in mic, however,
Ich glaube, für 70 Euro ist es sogar eine gute Ding.
not so much.
So this is how it would look when you have bad lighting.
The biggest downside of this webcam, in my opinion, is the pretty narrow field of view. And if you don't really know what field of view is, this here is a very wide field of view. And this is a look that many people like. And many of the webcams I tested had a very wide field of view. And an example of this is the AverMedia PW513. Now this AverMedia webcam is in the same ballpark as the Elgato Facecam. This one costs around $180.
180 Euro! Vielleicht ist es auch eine gute Kamera. Man weiß es halt nicht, ne?
And this one
Kannst Crazy Games spielen, da gibt es hier die Spiele. Wenn ich es mit einer Intel HD Grafik aufnehmen kann, vielleicht. Spielt ihr gleich auch ein Kilo war mies langweilig, ja, ich weiß.
And both of these webcams are meant to be bought as a main option for streaming or content creation. So the real and important question here is if these webcams are high quality enough to replace a camera in your content.
Ich möchte mir als nächstes auch als Webcam so eine Kamera holen oder vielleicht Elgato Facecam. Ich weiß noch nicht.
I'm a bit skeptical. Both of these premium webcams come with software to change the settings and
Okay.
some things and trying to get the best image possible. This is how the AverMedia webcam looks.
Hey, das sieht doch eigentlich voll gut aus.
And then this is how the Elgato one looks. Now the
Sieht
Elgato
auch gut aus.
Facecam is 1080p 60 fps and the AverMedia one should be 4K 30 fps or
Ja, 4K tut mir leid. Der neben mir, dieser Bilal, hat gekotzt. Ja, ich weiß. Hol dir Elgato Stream Deck. Ich hab's Elgato Stream Deck. Wenn du mein letztes Video... warum ist der Chat jetzt in der Mitte vom... Keine Ahnung. Wenn du mein... wie heißt es? Wie heißt denn das Video? Wenn du mein Geburtstagsvideo anschaust, siehst du, dass ich mir das Elgato Stream Deck geholt habe. Blockify, was geht ab? Was geht ab? Was geht ab?
1080p 60 fps. If I were you, I would use 1080p 60 fps for the smoothness. Now these last three options should be really interesting because what's gonna be the difference between this $600 camera
Ja,
and
was wird der...
$30
Egal.
webcam and the free phone? Which
Ich sag, das ist das Beste. Oder halt, ja, dann sage ich das Zweitbeste und das Drittbeste. Also das ist das Letzte.
Now the way I'm using my phone as a webcam is by using an application called DroidCam. You can download it for both Android and iOS, and when installed you simply enter the IP address that the application gives you, you click on start, and then your phone will be linked to your PC. This was an old iPhone 5 lying around and it actually doesn't look bad at all. And on top of that, buying this iPhone from eBay is cheaper than buying any cheap webcam.
Und um dein Live auf 720p, echt? Ich weiß nicht. Blöckchen. Ey, keine Beleidigung, Jason.
Now sadly
Blockify, warum bist du kein, hä? Du bist Mod eigentlich. Du bist doch Mod. Warum wird's gerade nicht angezeigt? Hä, warum wird nicht angezeigt, dass du Mod bist? Echt? Mein Live ist nur auf 720p? Echt? Egal, guck gleich noch.
Using 1080p is actually a pro feature, so you get a watermark. Now, by using the Alt key on your keyboard, you could cut away the sides, but I don't advise doing this because while the chance of getting caught is extremely low, it is illegal. Also, sometimes the auto exposure and the white balance can go a bit crazy, so I would advise locking those with these two options on your phone. However, when looking at the low light performance, this is something we better not talk about because it's extremely bad. If your phone isn't top of the line, you will need to
Jetzt bin ich Mod. Nein, ich habe 120p Blockify, Begriffsklärung, 3 Dinger gegen deinen Kopf, ja, Salame.
be extremely bright
Bruder.
for this to look good.
Leo.
And have noise all around your room and your face, etc. To hold my phone, I used one of these cheap clamps.
Ey, Leon, Bruder, noch einmal, du bekommst
If
Bann.
you want to do this for free, you could also just take a tall box and then put the phone on that, and I'm pretty sure that'll do just fine. Then in a completely different light is the Sony a6000. Now, even if you have no intention on buying an expensive DSLR like this, it is still really important to check out the difference in quality between something like this and all the other webcams. Because the more I look at the results of all these tests, the more I think that the phone, the C920, and then the cheapest webcam, which we still have to test, will be the best option if you think you will eventually save up for a DSLR. Pokimane, Shroud, and some other big streamers use this Sony a6000, and it's for good reason. The quality is high, it's smooth 1080p 60 fps.
Ja, Bruder, ey, Leon.
Autofocus, you get
Leon, mein Live ist auf 720p, weil du den nicht auf 1080 machst.
nice professional
Dein YouTube ist zu leise im Stream.
depth of field, and the camera even
Ich
smooths
finde
your
es
skin out
perfekt.
automatically. But don't worry, you can disable that feature if you want. To connect this camera to your PC, you will need something like an Elgato Cam Link that converts an HDMI signal to a USB one. This costs a bit over $100. There are alternatives to this. I will link some of them in the description. And the last thing you will need is a micro HDMI to HDMI cable. So the micro HDMI goes into the camera, then the normal HDMI goes into the Cam Link or an alternative, and that goes as a USB device into your PC. After this, you will find the camera as a webcam in OBS Studio, but when doing this without changing any settings, you will see that the on-screen information of the camera is also being shown in the output HDMI signal. Luckily, you can just change a simple setting and this will give you a very clean outgoing video. If you decide to buy this camera or another one to use as a webcam, I would highly advise you to buy a dummy battery. This is just a fake battery that you put into your camera and then connect to your PC or to a USB charger, and this way you can use your camera as long as you want without using batteries and having to recharge them, etc. Then the last webcam is the cheapest one of them all. This is the eMeet C960, and there's not a whole lot to say about this. These two are the
Aber ich muss, weil ich YouTube nicht höre. Wenn deine Lautstärke auf... Wenn ich meine Lautstärke auf maximal mache und du redest, platzt mir die Ohren. Also ist mein Mikrofon zu laut, dann muss ich das leiser machen. So, perfekt. Ja, so ist gut, finde ich. Ja, aber nein, das ist zu laut. So, perfekt. So ist perfekt. 10 Euro oder an Rahims kleiner Gurke drehen. Rahim, hörst du es auch nicht wie... Rahim, du hörst es auch nicht gleich wie der Stream. Nee, ey, Blockify, nächstes Mal gibt's den Bann, bitte.
closest in price, and maybe we can also compare it to this phone. So if we put them all side by side, you can see that the C960 definitely has the widest field of view, but the quality is also one of the lowest. However, something extremely important about this whole video. If we take all these webcams and we make them smaller and then look at them all together, which is what it would look like if you use this for streaming games, etc.
Ich weiß nicht, aber ich glaube, das ist die Kamera, die Kamera halt, ne? Das ist dann die C9, nein, das ist die C920, das ist die C960, das ist die Logitech 920, Droidcam. Das weiß ich nicht und das auch nicht.
I think we can say that all of them look pretty good and that they are all
Das ist Sony, das Elgato. Das Media, okay, das habe ich richtig, das habe ich richtig. PayPal, nee. Äh, I, ich habe fast alles richtig gehabt.
usable. It's only when you want to use your webcam full screen that some of them start giving problems because they are low quality or that they are bad in low lighting. So I think the biggest question of this video is if these premium webcams are worth it. And what I would say is, if saving up and then buying a DSLR is something that seems reachable for you in terms of budget, then I wouldn't buy these kind of webcams. I would start out using your phone or the $37 webcam or the Logitech C920, that's $70, and then just keep using that until you can buy a DSLR and get a big upgrade and then start using it for YouTube and filmmaking and learning about all this stuff. Learning about video is definitely worth it, but where I think a $200 webcam does come in is if you think you're never gonna buy a $600, $700 camera. In that scenario, I could see this being worth because the quality of these premium webcams is definitely much better than the $70, $80, $90 other options out there. I'll show all the results of the webcams one by one.
Also, sagen wir mal jetzt. Also Sony ist das Beste. Sony ist die beste Ding. Sony ist die beste. Und also Sony ist die beste Kamera. Danach kommt C920 und so. Ist egal. Kauft euch die ihr wollt. Und genau, kauft euch die ihr wollt. Reagier auf Hanau Paul Bilal. Junge, nein. Wie heißt es? Was soll ich gerade sagen? Also, Sony ist besser, wenn ihr sowas machen könnt, empfehle ich euch das wirklich zu machen. Und, genau, empfehle ich euch das wirklich zu machen. Und dann kommen wir auch beim Reaction zum nächsten